Looks like we are live.
Fantastic.
Hey, awesome, awesome. So hi, Lorrie Morgan Ferraro, and we're here with Martin Lindstrom. Ta-da! All the way
Ta-da!
from the United Kingdom. I'm calling in from California. But let me tell you a little bit about Martin before we take off. So this is going to be, I was told I should read this in my announcer voice. So this is just to show you how amazing our guest is today. Change agent, brand futurist, best-selling author, Martin Lindstrom is one of the world's premier and toughest brand building experts, and he advises Fortune 100 brands from the Coca-Cola Company. See if you've heard of any of these. Nestle, Red Bull. This guy is, we're so blessed to have him because he literally charges thousands of dollars for what we're about to get for free. So he's also one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world. He's a New York Times and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. I have his books. I have Biology. He has Brand Sense, Brand Washed, I'm sorry. And his latest book, which is fabulous, called Small Data. I have to read the rest of it. Small Data, the tiny clues that uncover huge trends. It just came out. It's amazing. It's already hit the number one on the New York Times, and it's getting there on Amazon if it's not there already. I'm not sure, but Martin, welcome. Thank you so much for being here and willing to talk. I love.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your very, very flattering words. I have to say, I had to blush here for a second, right?
So it's kind of funny, because before we went live, you were asking me about these paintings, really behind me, which really goes directly to what your book is about. You pay attention to everything, don't you?
I try to.
So what you're seeing behind me, these paintings, are literally, I'm in my husband's office, which is my satellite office. So I either, like you, we're mobile, right? So I'm either at home or working, or I'm here working. And these particular paintings belonged to my ex-husband who passed away 2 years ago. And we don't have a place to put them, so they're in my office.
What an amazing story. You know what? That one of the insights we learn from small data, or what I define as seemingly insignificant observations you pick up every day around your life, one of the observations is that we have something called the perception room. So just like you have a Facebook page and where we try to communicate to the world who would like to be seen as rather than actually who we are, we also have a perception room at home, and you'll find that room by following your coffee table book. The place where that coffee table book is placed is your perception room. And guess what? One of the key insights here is that if you have huge colorful paintings hanging in your perception room, the person is actually very self-confident. So here we go. I'm not sure if you're in the perception room right now, what's going on. I'm still looking around for the coffee table book, but you have a piece of news coming here now, right?
I love it. I love it. I am pretty confident most of the time. Not always, but yeah. So we're going to talk about branding, and I'm a copywriter and a marketer, and my brand is Red Hot Copy, and I kind of co-branded my name, which is difficult. Lorrie Morgan Ferraro. Nobody spells it right, and so it's like Lorrie Morgan Ferraro's Red Hot Copy. So a lot of people know my business, but they don't necessarily know my name. So I don't. What is your philosophy on branding, personal branding? And I know this is a big question, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But I think you should change your name. I think you should not run a company name. You should run your own name 100%. And I'll tell you why. Our bandwidth out there is very limited. I mean, the reality is that you cannot afford to build two brand names at the same time. You have to build one brand name and be consistent on it. And I learned that many years ago when I was the writer and produced new videos every week for Ad Age in New York City. And I think his name was Jonathan Bloom. He said to me, Martin, you have a title of your blog, you have a title of your video blogs, and you have your own name. That's 3 different sources. It's too difficult for people. So I learned the hard way one name and then consistently use that name across everything. Because of course I could easily start to have lots of different brand names in my space, but the reality, if even I would have quite a lot of followers around the world, I can't afford to have many brand names. Here we go, I just destroyed your company name now.
No, thanks. But I like where you're going with that, because that does make sense. What is it? We have 10 seconds now to get people's attention. If that, I don't even think we have that.
It's much less. Do you know what? The number we're talking about right now is down to 3.5 seconds in a supermarket. I mean, this is really, really bad. So you have to remember, a brand like Colgate had probably spent over the span of the horizon of that brand probably about $1 trillion on building their brand, and they had 3.5 seconds to be recognized, and still today they are struggling and sales are going down. I mean, it just puts things into perspective that the attention span is going down, the numbers of channels we have in front of us is going up, the volume of content. Listen to this. Over the last 2 years, 90% of all content produced in history of the planet was taking place over 2 years. That shows you the volume we have of stuff, and that's the reason why you think it has to be aligned in one direction. And if you don't do that, guess what? People just won't remember you. Of course, I'll remember you. I'm sure a lot of people will. But if you really want to expand your brand to be a global brand, that's probably something to have in mind.
To narrow it down, that makes a lot of sense. And we have some hot seats here too. People who have questions for you about branding. We have some entrepreneurs on
Fantastic.
the line.
I love it. I love that.
Yes. Okay, so shall we bring?
Go for it.
On, or is
Go
it too
for
early?
It. Yeah.
Okay. I don't have the controls. Okay, here she comes. It's happening. It's happening. Before this happens, though, let's hear what's behind you. You look like you're in an airport.
I am in. Am I allowed to say where I am? I don't know, because I think we're in the middle of a treasure hunt too. But I'm actually right now in Heathrow's terminal. I was not allowed to say that. I don't know. I'm in Heathrow right now in London, and I'm on my way to another continent, which is not Europe. And the flight is between 18 and 26 hours, so you can guess where it is. I won't tell you more.
So you're kind of referring to the small data game. We're going to talk about that too. I have played that, and it's super fun. So let's bring Linda on, and Linda, what is your last name, sweetie?
Thanks, Lorrie. Hi, Martin.
Yes.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
So, Linda, tell us. I don't know if you froze. There you are. Okay, so tell us your name and your business, and ask Martin your question.
Okay. My name is Linda Sherwin. I wrote a book back last year. All the Workplace is a Stage: Acting Techniques to Create Award-Winning Business Performance. The ebook became a bestseller last April 30th.
Well done.
And thank you. It's something I sort of started almost by accident, because I'm a professional speaker and I was doing etc. And it was always becoming a part of leadership and consulting and coaching for people to. It's a 4-step process. The same thing an actor would do in order to take on a character is to for somebody in a leadership role. And I had some great examples of people who weren't taking on the right characteristic. And of course, the always in any acting, and Lorrie, I'm sure you know as well, is to be. I always think acting is a misnomer, because a really good actor actually is the character. They find within themselves that which they need to become the character. They're not really acting, they're taking on from within themselves that. And so I look at, I've done sessions on it. I'm looking to sort of grow it. I want to be able to certainly do the face-to-face, but at the same time to grow it so that it's something that I can do on webinars and that sort of thing. And everyone sort of speaks about branding yourself. And I just appreciated what you said about use your own name instead of coming up with a company name. Although I love Red Hot Marketing, I think that's fabulous, Lorrie. And so I guess I sort of say to myself, okay, is it just me? Do I just put me out there? I'm trying to get some, I guess, ideas on the branding. I don't know if that's a valid question.
Absolutely it is. Well, first of all, congratulations on your book. It sounds amazing. I will immediately see if I can get a hold of it. So here's the issue. As a personal brand, there is, just to put it into perspective, we are 7.5 billion people on planet Earth. And I think it's fair to say that almost every person on planet Earth wants to stand out from the crowd. So the competition is slightly hard to get, to if you get what I mean. The issue is you need to have something which is really making you stand aside. And now I haven't read your book, unfortunately, but what I've learned is that you need to be very dramatic in certain views which are putting you on the stage. Now, there's 3 different ways you can do that. One is, and this is my stand-up mantra, to combine 2 ordinary things in a new way. So if you're taking your acting, you take your stage presence, all that stuff on board, and this is what you stand for, I would say that's one skill set you have here. Now my question to you is, what is the other thing you want to combine that with so people will never ever forget you, and you combine it in a new way? You need to find another thing. And I'll tell you why. Because there's so many people which are professional speakers, there's so many people who have read books or written books, but what is that additional thing you're adding to the game which makes you stand out? And that could be a lot of things. You know, it could be that you, for example, have used deep psychology in order to read the audience in a certain way, which you take into the way you behave. It may be that you are a person which I have teamed up with stand-up comedians. It may be that you have learned something from different visionary people and you spend time with them in order to bring that on board as your knowledge base. But you need to find another thing as well, because if you don't do that, no matter how good you are, it will be a very slow ride because you're competing with everyone else. You need to find another ball game. Just to put myself into the shoes here, if I was just a branding guy, I would never be who I am. I was a branding guy originally, but I was the first in the world to be branding and the internet in 1994 when the World Wide Web was invented. 2 ordinary things combined in a new way. The first to take the sensors and branding combined in a new way. The first to take neuroscience and marketing and creating neuromarketing. The first, again, to create small data, which is completely opposite to big data, and combine it with branding. So what I'm trying to do is to constantly find new platforms and combine them in a new way. It doesn't mean I'm not Mr. Branding, but it means that my brand is always fresh. There's always a new angle. So this is what you have to think about. Does it make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So this is the first thing. The second thing I will do is, if I was you, is to start to do research. Research is always a good excuse to come up with new stuff. So if you take Adam Grant, which came up with a fantastic book the other day and was this, I believe, in the very top of New York Times as well. Well, he did a huge research across the US as part of Wharton, where he was interviewing business leaders. And guess what? This is so clever. Every time he talks to a top business leader, he learns from them, and they want to see their own name, so they buy his book, they share it with all their friends, so they buy his books, and guess what? Suddenly the book is taking off. So he's not only learning content, he's also using them as testimonials, and it's an excuse to get them into the book, and they're even buying his books. Now, of course, what he's writing is brilliant, but it's also an underlying philosophy which has made the book become as successful as it is right now. And what I would urge you to do is to say, can you do research where you get some new insights about what is creating stage presence? I'll give you one example. The biggest challenge for speakers today across the world is social media. It is, how do you make the audience become present while you're speaking to them? Because they're not. They're sitting fiddling with the phone. How do you work with the whole dilemma? How much do people actually hear a keynote when they're on the phone? All those informations are really interesting. And I would, if I was you, own that space. That could be number 2. And number 3 is to constantly take all your knowledge and put it into small bite-sized of information, like a 2-minute mini video, pump it out, a new video about all sorts of information where you always share stuff. So you almost dissect your entire speech into small pieces so people feel they're getting free samples from you. This will probably be the 3 first points, and then of course it has to be easy to find you, and you have to embed that social media presence in every speech you do. I did see the speech. Well, I did 7 speeches this week, but I did a speech just this afternoon in London where we launched my new book in a very big way. Immediately, we have tons of people going online. We just did a speech the other day in Romania we had 500, 600 people immediately going online, becoming ambassadors and tweeting while they're watching my entire presentation for a whole day. We have an interactive wall where they can see the Instagram feed, the Facebook feed, all these different feeds, and really get a sense of how the brand works. It becomes very present, but social is also part of it, is embedded into my presentation. So this is really my advice. I hope you can.
Wow.
I hope you can use it.
I love it. Absolutely. I can use it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being so supportive and certainly very generous with your ideas.
Share the link with me and the rest of the viewers here in one way or another. Else Elizabeth, which is running my social right now, will do it, just so we make sure we spread your word, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Wonderful, thank you. I took notes on that one too. I love that.
Oh,
the social media, I'm learning. The social media aspect it's really interesting. It seems. Can I ask you a question about that? Okay, all right, here it goes. There's so much social media, right? There's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Blab, there's Google Hangouts, there's so much stuff. How do you stay abreast of all of these technologies, and is it important to be on all of them?
No, it's not. And first of all, I'm certainly not very tech savvy and will never claim to be. But I have learned one thing. This is very strange what I'm going to tell you. I firmly believe that you need to have a foundation in your life where you're not sucked in by this social world. Mm-hmm. Because if you're sucked into the world, you lose life. We need present in our lives. We need to make sure we observe other people. We learn from the world. We are together with people physically. We cannot sit behind our screens, all of us, all day around and believe this is life, because it's not. This is very important for me to say. I'm saying this because you need to create appointments with yourself. And you need to appointment yourself. If you are addicted to your emails and your blogs and whatever, say to yourself, I'm only going to check that 2 times a day between, let's say, 9 and 10, and between 5 and 6 in the evening. The rest of the time I do on work, I'm together with my family, whatever you do. But have slots. Don't go down the track, which most of the people are doing. They're on this one here all day long, and because you're responding quickly to people, guess what? They're responding quickly back, and that means you'll have this constant feed where you really have no time. And when that happens, and I have to tell you, I spoke to Tara Banks about it the other day in one of our hangouts, when that happens, you have no time for creativity. And Tara was saying that to me. She's saying, listen, I want to be even more present, but we get so much stuff, we are overwhelmed. And this is one of the top personal brands in the world saying that. And there's no difference between Tara, which have a huge staff, and you. So you need to do appointments with yourself. Second, focus on 3 channels, no more. And I would say I've been fairly lucky with Facebook, but I would also say that Instagram for me is probably a great channel. I'm not very good at Instagram, but I do think we are more advanced as human beings on the visual side than on the written side. And I do think that if you can encapsulate opinions and views and learnings into a simple visual with a quote on it, it is much more powerful than normal. And remember one thing, 75% of all readers in the world are women, and women are much more visual than men are, and they love Instagram. So I would probably say that Instagram will be the second channel. And then I will say the third channel really should reflect your audience and where they are, and that could be very individual. I mean, my third channel probably would be Twitter, but it could as well just be YouTube. And if you are a speaker, and I would say that YouTube is certainly not a channel you should forget. The problem is with social is that that's not very prominent on YouTube, and it means that you don't have that whole community backing up your videos. Plus, it's also really important you get on top. Now, the social strategy I would run if I was you is very simple, and I'm going to tell you something very scary.
Okay.
5 years from now on, you should be able to release your own book. You should be able to get your own keynotes, and you should be able to have people come into your audience 100% based on your platform and nothing else. That means in the future, a future speaker will bring the entire audience with them. So when you book you as a speaker, and this is the same with everyone else who's in this industry, when you book a speaker, you will guarantee that there will be, let's say, 100 or 200 or 5,000 people in the audience, depending on what the deal is, and they know they can sit back and relax. So you will be running around with a platform. This is your future CV. And if this if think about this, if this is the case, your primary goal is really to build an audience, and the way you do that is to make sure you team up with other people and you draw traffic for everyone else and you give traffic to everyone else. And I love to collaborate with people because I learn a lot from you and you learn perhaps a little bit from me, and as we grow together, we're not competitors. No, we'll never be competitors. You have your space and I have my space, but we both learn from each other. So this is different from social from the past. In the past, we would have been competitors in a black and white world. Now we're friends, and that is really, really important for us to have in mind.
That makes a lot of sense. That really does, Martin, and I love what you said about creating space. I was actually on that call with you with Tyra, and she's adorable, first of all. Yeah. But she really is so down to earth and so accessible. But at any rate, just creating that kind of space. Elizabeth told me something about you that surprised me, that you don't often have a phone with you. And we were
this is my, take a look at this. This is my smartphone, and it's not very smart. It is an ordinary Nokia, and I'm trying to get rid of it. I don't want a phone at all, because the problem is with this device, if it is a smartphone, and I don't want to have a smartphone, but the problem is you're never ever present. And I think the biggest asset for us, you and I, and everyone listening, is that you can see people and you're there. I mean, there's nothing worse than you're talking to a person and the person saying, yeah, and you can just feel the person is not there. Then you shouldn't be there. So I'm going on a detox, and I'll say within the next 2 or 3 months, I will not have a phone anymore. That's it. And do you know what? I'm so happy. I really love it.
Congratulations. That's way more than I'm going for. But in fact, you know, what is that candy store in New York, that gigantic candy store that's so beautiful? It's several stories high. Well, my son was in college in New York, and I was videotaping the candy store, and he took my phone from me, and he goes, "Liv, stop taping everything. Just be in the moment." And he was so right. So I admire that. Yeah, so we have some other people who want your wisdom as well. So let's see who else is here. And here we go.
It's always, everyone has such a fancy photos. I mean, they all look like photo models here. This is really amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, and is this up to me? Okay.
Oh, while we're trying to get the next beautiful person online, then there you are. No, are you ready? No? Yeah? No, I don't. Well, while we try to do that, let's just have a little bit of a chat on what I think the future will be looking like, because I think what's interesting right now is, I'll give you some opportunities. Those of you guys which are listening right now. I think I see 3 interesting opportunities, which is really interesting. One is, listen to this, it's crazy. You know how everything is faster, we fast food, we want to have our information faster, we want to be, the instant gratification generation is taking over. I actually think the next big thing is going to be that things will be slower. Actually, I was in Norway the other day, and in Norway, the most popular TV series of all time is a recording of a train ride from Oslo to Stavanger, which takes 9 hours, right? And it's just fascinating to see how people are watching it in the millions across Europe, where I'm right now. You will see that the biggest trend in New York City right now is pour over coffees. It's a coffee thing where you pour over the coffee. It takes 9 or 10 minutes. People absolutely love it. You will notice that last year at the holiday season, the most popular book was the coloring books, where you had to color yourself, which is all about allowing people time and space. A new study is showing that when people are reading books, they remember physical books, paper-based books, 30% more than digital books. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everything will be slow and we'll have slow lines in the supermarket. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that I'm banning technology. It's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying right now is that you guys which are listening, if you're looking for business opportunities, slowness will be the next fast thing, meaning allowing people time for space and transition. remember, when you and I wake up in the morning, the first thing we do is to grab our cell phone. And then we're on the cell phone when we go to the bathroom. We're on the cell phone when we have breakfast, doing work in the car. I mean, this is depressing. There is no transformation taking place. That transformation is essential for us to survive. I mean, when did you restart your computer the last time?
Today.
Today. Thank you for destroying my entire hypothesis. That's really, really nice of you.
I'm sorry about that. I'm a little neurotic about that stuff. But so we have Val Hart here on the phone. She is an amazing animal communicator, Martin. She actually literally helped me bond better with my own dogs and communicate with them.
Wow.
So I want to. Well, she's amazing. So hi, Val.
Thank you, Lorrie. You're awesome. Hi, Martin. I'm enjoying this. Thank you for playing with this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great. So I'm called the real Dr. Doolittle, animal communicator to the stars. I don't just do animal communication with clients around the world. I also teach people how to do what I do. I have the HEART system, which is my last name is Val Hart. The HEART system is a 5-step process for solving problems with pets. So I also specialize in show dogs, show horses. I got my start working with show horses. So I'm the one you call if you're struggling with your pet for some reason.
Wow.
So that's what I do.
Well, so I have some really, really good news for you, because if we should look at trends around the world, the spearhead of vacation for pets is in Japan. And first of all, I'll give you a piece of really important advice. I'm not sure, can you hear me right now while she's talking in the background?
Yes.
You're good. So if you have the money and if you have the time for it, I would go to Tokyo straight away, because that is the hub of what future of pet interaction is all about. It is amazing. I went to a cat cafe the other day. That's where you go in and you pet cats in the coffee break, because people are so stressed. They're going in to have a cup of coffee and there's basically a random cat coming up to you, petting them. But they also have everything. They have pet graveyards. They have pet holidays where they go on cruise ships. Everything is around pet. And the reason why is very simple, because in Japan you don't have a lot of space and you don't have a lot of privacy, and the pet is really your outlet for stress and for harmony. Now, you will also see that there's so much stuff happening in Japan, which is very innovative. Now, the good news is it's growing, and it's growing fast. I mean, I just went to a conference the other day where Mars was present with Mars pet food, and in the future, everything will be about luxury food for pets. You have smoked salmon, you have lobsters, you have the whole thing. It is very clearly a segment going up. But as you probably have noticed, people think they can buy themselves out of the problem with their dogs, and quite often, of course, the problem between the pets themselves is internal problems because they're under pressure or because of whatever, so they're channelizing that stress through to the dog or whatever it is. Yeah. And what is really, really important here is that you, more than anyone else, understand this very well. So here is what I would do. 1, I would try to package your information into small, very snappy videos, 2-minute videos, which are very clear, very succinct advice to key problems. One advice could be, what do I do when my dog continues not being clean inside? Another advice could be, my dog keeps barking whenever there's guests coming, I can't stop it. Third one is, it goes into my bed all the time and I really don't like it. Whatever it is. Take those key advice and then wrap a solution around it, very simple steps where you use your heart model. But what you have to do is that you have to create a portfolio of videos, let's say a series of 10 videos. Then I would contact Mars. I'll contact some of the other manufacturers of pet food, Mars or Nestle or Whiskeys or whatever it is, and I'll say to them, I would like to give you some of this content for free. I would like to make sure that you use my platforms. I'll give you the content. Of course, I have reference to me, but I give you an ongoing stream of good advice you can put on the back. You can put it in your blogs. You can put Twitter. You can put Instagram. You can download your own wall, whatever. So you have to become somewhat of a spokesperson for them. Then you have access to another platform which can help you to drive traffic. The third thing I will do is I will go to Japan and to Korea, where, as I said, the role of the dogs also in France is very high. and I will start to learn about what is the big next trend. And then I will contact various TV shows, and I will see if I could create somehow what is the future of pets going to be, what is our relationship going to be. I will also, if I was you, as step number 4, team up with a real psychologist, so not a pet psychologist, but a human psychologist, and start to talk about how you can read human beings based on looking at the pets. So if you look at the condition of the pet, which is like this, what does it actually tell about you as a person? And you can go both ways. By doing that, I think you'll have a lot of interesting insight which you can use in partnership with a psychologist. And you should find a high-profile psychologist who have their own TV program, or one which have a blog, one which have a platform, and say, let's team up and have this interesting angle for a while. What I'm saying to you is you're sitting on a gold mine of opportunities. You need to package it. You need to make it simple. You need to use a simple methodology. You need to share the content. You need to get access to the database of people, and then you need to build up your brand name. And at some stage, when you have enough traffic, that's when you're ready to go to the next step, to have your own books, or to have your own channels, or to sell education programs where you scale your business more than just doing one-on-one, right?
Wow.
Okay.
That is excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Is that useful? Is that a little useful, Val?
Once I've taken the time to slow down to go fast, well, that should be very useful. Thank you. That's brilliant.
You're good luck with it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Wow, Martin. Dang, you're good. Okay, so next we have my other good friend, Pauline Longdon from Australia. Poor woman got up at 3:30 this morning to be a part of this, so thank you, Pauline. And Pauline is also a copywriter, and quite good. So how did Pauline are? So
hi guys.
Meet Martin.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, good to see you. Where are you based in Australia?
In Brisbane.
Oh, in Brisbane. So your time is between, what is it, 4 or 5 in the morning or something?
Yeah, it's 4:30.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're worth getting up for at any hour.
Thank you.
It's no worries. So,
Pauline,
I guess branding from. Yep, you go, Lorrie. Yeah.
No, there's a little bit of a delay. You go. You're on.
I was just going to say, I guess in the way of a copywriter, I'm so busy channeling other people's messages and getting their messages out into the world that I actually neglect mine. And so I was just wondering if you have any tips for me to, I guess, think about myself for a moment and get my message out as well as.
So let me just understand it. Are you a copywriter? What is this sort of your profession? You're writing copy, or what? Give me a sense of what you're doing.
Well, like marketing material for people. I'll write their websites, anywhere they need words, because I mean a lot of people just don't really know what other people want, and then this is why your book Small Data is so interesting for me, because I do notice the little things about people, and I help them to speak in a way that's palatable to the people that they're actually communicating.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I get what it means. So here's what I will do if I was you. It's very, very simple what I would do. I would create a simple model which is analyzing the quality of written content on people's websites and brochures. So here's the issue. A lot of people feel that they're very good at writing. But as you know, there's a lot of corporate speak out there, and it's dreadful. It's not human. It's not conveying a message. It's long-winded. It's all over the place. People fall asleep when they're reading it, and it's really just dreadful. Now, this is the case I would play in 8 out of 10 websites out there, particularly when it's smaller and medium-sized companies. If I was you, I would create a very simple model, a way to evaluate copy very quickly, where you evaluate it on, let's say, I'll give you some criteria. It could be one is, do you feel it's a soul, a real human person who is communicating to you, or do you feel it's a robot? Another question could be, do you feel the core values of the brand is communicated clearly, or do you feel it's all over the place? Third could be, is this content shareable? Does it mean that I can take content? Can I take this content and not strictly shared with friends and I have something I can talk about at a cocktail party? Or is it just so convoluted and so complex to explain that people are giving up? I would take these 10 criteria, whatever they are. I will now start to create a model around how do you find out what it is. And maybe you even create through SurveyMonkey, a monkey survey, you create a model which can sort of say, here's 50 people, they will evaluate the site based on these criteria, and you get a score. Of course, the ultimate score is 100, no one gets it. The worst thing you can get is probably 10. What score are you at? And then what you should do is to contact companies, and you should say to them, we've analyzed your website, and we have found out what your score is. Are you interested in knowing it? And here is examples of other websites which are doing very well. Would you like to know what score you're at? And what I would do is to have that as a tool for you to teach them, because there's 3 things you can do with that tool. The first thing you can do is you can use it as a simple benchmark for companies to find out how good they are. I tell you, if someone contacted me and they said, Martin, we've evaluated your content. We have a panel which have been listening to it. It's dreadful, Martin. You get a score 46 out of 100. I would immediately think, well, first of all, who is she? Okay. Second, I'll think, how did she evaluate it? And the third thing, I'll say, wonder if she's right. And then if I look into how you evaluate it, and if it looks pretty serious, I'll say, geez, she knows about this stuff. Let me give her a go. And if you then would say, let me rewrite just 1 page on your site to see what you can do and what the score would be, and you'll do that at either at a small fee, if we don't continue working, you do a charge or whatever it is, then I will give you a chance. And I think a lot of people will do the same. But you need to package it. If you then take this methodology and you basically start to say, okay, let's spread it to various organizations around the world, with associations of restaurant owners. And I'll say to the association, I'd like to give this evaluation tool to all your restaurateurs and memberships free of charge. You guys can use this tool. You can evaluate the quality of your own website. Of course, you're welcome to rewrite it yourself, but by the way, it's called whatever brand name you have, and they can come back to you. Then automatically you give them something free of charge. They can evaluate how good they are, and they can come back to you. And that tool suddenly will be what you become well known for. And of course, it should not be straightforward. There should be elements which are surprising and intriguing and thought-provoking. But that's probably the way I would do it if I was you. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That I've never thought of it that way, so that's brilliant. Thank you.
Now, I have a special gift for you, and that's because you're waking up at 4:39 a.m. in the morning, right? Which I know is a dreadful time. So if you have time and energy, I'm doing the release of Small Data in the Sydney Opera House the 22nd of March. So that's next Tuesday. I'll be there, and I'm doing this. My guest of honor, if you're interested to come by, we'll make sure we put you on the list. We will have some of the top marketing people in the country flying in to open and release my book. So if you are interested in coming by, you're hereby invited, and you should just reach out to my team, and I'll make sure there'll be a ticket for you and whoever you want to bring with you at this wonderful setting in the Sydney Opera House.
Wow, thank you, Martin.
How lovely.
That's very awesome. Thank you.
Road trip.
Yeah, exactly. Good. I hope you could use. I hope you could use my advice, right? And good luck with this, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Martin.
Excellent.
That's wonderful.
Excellent.
You're welcome.
Wow. All right. Excellent. Excellent stuff here, man. So also understand that you kind of believe in the one-word branding. And what do you mean by that?
Well, it comes back to the conversation you and I had in the beginning, that focus is really in essence right now. And I would still claim that some of the most powerful brands in the world can be squeezed into one word. And I'll tell you an interesting story here. In my book, Small Data, I talk a lot about how you can squeeze entire nations into emoji. So if I take people in Russia, they're not the most smiley people in the world. If I take people in Saudi Arabia, it's raining a lot and there's certainly not a lot of greenery. And here in the UK right now, they have this funny, quirky, strange form of humor or wit. Now guess what? The #1 most frequently used emoji in Russia is the heart. The #1 most frequently used emoji in Saudi Arabia is a flower. And #1 most frequently used emoji here right now in UK is the wink. And that gives you an idea about how you can squeeze an entire nation into one symbolic. Now you can do and should be able to do exactly the same with the brands. So if I say search, you will say what brand name?
Red Hot Copy. No. No. That's
well, I wonder who could be the search engine in the world with its own search. Let me think about that. Yeah. So you say one word, Google search, or if I take a car company, I would say, and I'll say, for example, safety, Volvo. If I take in the old days a cowboy, I'll say Marlboro. So a lot of words and personalities fit together. If I take rebellious, I will say that's Richard Branson. If I take compassionate, I'll say that's Oprah Winfrey. If I say peace, it is Mother Teresa. So these characters did not build their brand and the one word based on just throwing out in the air. If you take Princess Diana, which is all about peace, I would say, well, the way she developed that word, and I'm not sure if it was on purpose or not, but the way she developed it was when she did a walk through the mines, so the landmines, while the press was filming it, and no one wanted her to do it, but she wanted to prove how dangerous it was, and they told her they had sort of removed it, but they didn't know for sure, and she would walk in between the mines while the cameras were rolling, and that helped to build her brands about being that person which really cares about peace. It was one scene taking 5 minutes building her brand. Martin Luther King in 1963 did one speech. He had a dream, and that dream really defined his word. So what is happening is that you need to encapsulate what you're standing for in one word, and you need to find supporting elements around it which are making you stand out. So if you take Volvo and the word which says safety, you'll see Volvo was the first brand in the world to invent the 3-point seat belt, and they did that by hiring the head of safety at the Swedish Engineering and Air Force, and he took that airplane concept of 3-point seat belts and put it into the cars. Volvo was the first to invent the seatbelt alarm, and I still hate them for that. And they were also the first in the world to invent the airbags on the side of the car. Now, just recently they announced on LinkedIn, I saw, that they will, within the next 10 years, develop the first crash-free car. I mean, this is a serious statement to come with. But this gives you an idea about how they have one goal, and that's the reason why they own one word. And my question is, of course, what is your one word? And once you have that nailed down, you really should start building and supporting that, so you, in the end of the career, really own that in a very succinct way, right?
Interesting. Great. Very challenging. Really challenging. It's something to think about for sure. I like that. I also want to talk a little bit about your small data hunt. I know, I kind of tipped off where you're at. Sorry, but I've been playing it. It's where to find Martin, and I think we have. Yeah, I know people are commenting about how brilliant you are, by the way. Just so you know.
Thank you.
Yes, you really are. This has blown me away, and a lot of people. So at any rate, I believe we're bringing
Ifat, you can do that.
There we go, Ifat. Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
Tell us about. Beautiful. I love the blue in your hair.
Thank you. Martin and I had a conversation about the lack of my books, but my appearance on Hangouts and how that translates into my desires. So if you want to watch that, it's on the Small Data Hunt.
Excellent. So would you tell us about the Small Data Hunt so that people can follow along?
Yeah, so guys, first of all, if you have not yet read Martin's book, then you're probably going to miss some of the nuances. But what's fascinating about his book is that he is almost like a Sherlock Holmes, right? The way that he's working right now with people, basically deciphering what goes behind the brand and how to create an emotional connection. And the Small Data book is really taking you how he is faced with an issue, and then all the little clues that brings into the brand solution. And when I was reading that, you start feeling like a little detective. You're like, I wonder if I'm going to get to the same conclusion. And when you do, you want to see, right? You want to see like the solution. You want to see the cereal box. You want to see the chicken dance. You want to see all that stuff. So what we've done is we have created that in an interactive way, and we are taking you guys into the mind of Martin Lindstrom. Martin, how do you feel about that?
Oh, fantastic. Bring it on.
Bring it on. So how to think like Martin. And the way that you do that is you basically go through little clues and you try to decipher them. So I'm going to share my screen a little bit and show you guys how you can do that, which is fascinating. Right there. Tell me if you can see it.
Yeah, I want to get it. I want to get in Martin's mind. That would be fabulous.
I want to think like Martin.
Right?
Yeah. So guys, when you come here, this is smalldatahunt.com, and you're gonna see this is what you can win. So if anyone is watching this hangout and going like, I want Martin to give me an hour and talk about my brand, well, you can win that. Or if you're going like, I want to meet Martin in person and talk about my brand, well, you can do that too. That's the first prize. And in order to win that, just go to the Small Data Hunt and click here, and it will have you join the hunt. Now, I'm already a user, so it takes me into re-logging in. But this is basically where you're going to come into. This is the first page, your welcome page. And you're going to go down, and here's the story. And this is all very, very personalized. It really depends on your own choices. So I was logged out. So let me log back in. And, of course, I am Jessica. So when you come in here, you're going to read the story, and this is the story setting up the stage, and you're going to continue after you read it, and then you're going to choose your character. Now, every character has their own way of dealing with data. You can be a blogger, you can be a mid-level manager, you can be a consumer rights advocate, or you can be the CEO of branding mechanics. And whatever you choose, that's going to create a different story for you. So let's say I chose Jessica. And now every story is going to be different. And I'm not going to continue because I want to keep the mystery going on and let you guys see what's happening. But every time you make a move, you win points. And as you can see, the person with the most points at the end is going to win these prizes. So you can win points by playing the game. You can win points by getting social and actually making friends and talking to people and brainstorming together. You can win points by sharing. You can see right here we have the little small data hunt hashtag. So when you're sharing and when you talk about that, you can win points by buying books. Every book that you buy gets you 50 points. You can get points by referring people. So there's so many ways that you can beat me and get to the top of the leaderboard. So how do you feel about that?
Well, and I just want to add that when we give the tickets away to the World Business Forum, which is taking place in New York City, it is the biggest forum in the world where I'll be opening as a the whole business world. It will take place this fall, 2016, and you will be my personal guest, so you will come with me behind the scene and see how the biggest forum is taking place. There you'll meet all the, pretty big speakers from across the world. So it's not just a ticket, it is more than that. So I hope, of course, that we'll have a winner, which I can bring with me backstage so you can see what's really going on at this amazing and probably the #1 forum in the world for business minds.
Pretty amazing. That's wonderful. It's in New York City, right?
It is in New York City, yeah, and either it's in Radio City Music Hall or else it's at the other center. I can't remember if it's Moscone Center, what it's called, but yeah, it's one of those two centers.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so the URL again is smalldatahunt.com. And I've been playing. I need to get back on it again, actually. But it's so fun. It's addictive. Not like a video game, but it is kind of like a role-playing game, and you actually are learning stuff. It's super fun. I encourage you guys to play. Come play with me. I'm gonna beat you fun.
I can't wait.
We're gonna put like the gloves on. Come on, who's gonna get it to Martin?
That's it, right? Well, yeah, no offense, sorry, but at any rate, the dates. Martin, do you happen to know? People are asking
It is
about
in
that.
November. Yeah. Well, listen, I'll tell you in a second. I'll just open my calendar, and and if you can sing a song in the meantime, then I will find out when it is. Yeah,
So
that's a
yes,
good song.
remember smalldatahunt.com
The
and
smalldatahunt.com.
come and
Yeah.
play with us.
November 17th and 18th.
Yeah, and I will
18,
actually be
18.
speaking the
Nice.
18th because I'm actually in Switzerland the 17th for another speech I'm doing there. So that will be the 18th of November, which is super exciting. And all the speakers has not been announced yet, but I can tell you it will blow your mind. Just to put you into perspective, we had Steven Spielberg as a speaker last year. We had Bill Clinton. I mean, we're talking about the big boys in the class, right?
This is a big deal. This is a pretty big deal. That's awesome. And I read your book too, and I really want to recommend it.
Thank you.
All of your books are very cutting edge, and you always seem to be just like a step ahead of a few steps ahead of everybody. So I think you've nailed this trend, the small data, for sure.
Well, thank you.
And
It's been fascinating. I just had a hangout with the IBM folks just a couple of hours ago, and I thought I would be completely attacked by the world of big data owners, but they all say it is so it's so long due that we have the counterbalance. And just for all of you guys listening and watching here. Small data is really the seemingly insignificant observations we make in our daily lives, and it's the counterbalance to big data. And just to give you an example, just last week Lego announced its biggest profit of all time, 31% up. Now, for all of you, you probably were saying, well, hey, of course, they're pretty successful, always been. No, they haven't. 13 years ago, the company was close to bankruptcy. They used big data as a foundation back then, and they concluded that the instant gratification generation had arrived. And as a consequence of that, they had to change the size from those tiny Lego bricks to the gigantic building blocks. Now, they did that, and during the holiday season 2003, the company went down the hill. And that was where a small group, in fact, decided to go into consumer homes across Europe. They went into a home of an 11-year-old boy in Germany. And as they were sitting on the floor, they asked him one simple question: what are you most proud of? And this kid, he just paused for a second, and then he pointed at the shelf where there was an old, worn-down pair of sneakers standing. He took them down, and the team from Lego thought, why? I mean, they thought he would say PlayStation or Nintendo or something. No, he took them down because he said, this is my evidence. You see, I'm the best skater in town. And this is my trophy, because if you slide down the skateboard, it creates a certain wear and tear exactly in that angle on my sole, which means that I'm the #1 skater, and this is my evidence. And out of that, Lego concluded a lot. But one of the things they did was to change the size of the Lego bricks back to the tiny bricks. They even added more bricks. They even created the Lego movie later on. Of course, it changed a lot of other things in the organization. But today, the Lego company is the #1 in the world. And what they picked up, that seemingly insignificant observation they pick up, is what I call small data. And small data is all about putting yourself in the shoes of the consumer and start to systematically pick up all these amazing clues around homes and live with consumers, or understand consumers, and hang out with consumers. And that creates an amazing foundation for your business. And that's exactly what the book is all about. So it's really me traveling around the world and picking up these clues and converting them into business opportunities, to new brands, to new products, to new services, all that stuff, which is incredible, powerful stuff, and really is the next generation. After big data, will have small data. And by the way, small companies can do it. They can't do big data, but this thing they can do, and it's not expensive, and it's fairly easy.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much again. So we're getting to the top of the hour, so I'm going to release you. You're an animal. You're doing all these interviews and spreading the word, and I'm so delighted that you made time for us here and answered those brilliant questions. So again, smalldatahunt.com. Thank you as well, Martin, and I look forward to someday meeting you, and maybe I'll win the prize on Small Data Hunt and see you in New York.
Perhaps in New York. That's good. Well, listen, thank you so much for setting this up. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks to everyone for listening. And I hope to see you perhaps in New York, if not, see you on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or somewhere else in the online space, right? Take care, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Martin. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.